addresses which you input. But now you need to think about how to solve it, right? So you will think in your head like, okay, so I will do it like this and this, but then you cannot tell it to another person, right? Or you cannot validate whether your model is correct, right? So how do you do it before writing any code? So that's where these kind of things come, right? So you know that, okay, so for this kind of problem, we can solve it using finite state machine. So this is the first assumption or first knowledge that you have, right? So okay, so for this translation problem, validation problem, I can use finite state machine. So this is knowledge, right? This is given knowledge, and then you will try to model your solution according to this theory, right? Finite state machine. And then you can, why you are doing this? Because if you follow certain standards like this or already proven tools or techniques, then you know that uh, you can have a big success rate, right? So if you follow best practices, good already proven methodologies, then you can most probably guarantee that your program will be reliable, and you don't need to worry about certain errors or some things, because you know that if you follow this in a better way, you can guarantee that it is correct. Like you can even validate these models, and you have also tools like here you can use maybe 3D modeling software. So here you can use, for an example, now we are using in our class something called JFLOP. So this is a tool to model finite state machines, and then you can after you build your after you model your solution, you can even validate it against some test cases, right? And you can check whether it behaves correctly, right? And you can modify it without still without implementing it, right? But once you have your model, then you can convert it to the real implementation, right? So what do you mean by implementation? So this is still the model, like it's still like what you have drawn here, right? And then this one, like if you have it in finite state machine model, you can convert it into maybe real program. Like it can be in C sharp or it can be in Prolog. Like we will show you how to convert this to Prolog in the later classes. So in our case, we will have this model in JFLAP, and then later we will convert it into Prolog program, right? But it doesn't mean to be always Prolog, but you can even convert it into C sharp or other C++ or Java or any other program, and then you can use this program to validate any email address, right? So this is the idea, right? So is it clear why we are doing this? But later in your course, maybe you will learn different modeling methodologies like UML, class diagrams, and so on. So, but this is just to give you a introduction, like theoretical foundation. So these are the foundations of all these software engineering principles, right? So this UML diagrams, modeling, and everything, they have roots of sets theory that we taught previously, and things like this, right? Okay, so today I will show you how to uh, run JFLAP in your machines, and then we can already start doing some examples, right? So I will show you how to use this tool, and then uh, to get familiarized with this, right? So you have your laptops today, no?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you have, please try to use it. Yeah, because these computers, they don't have Java, so you won't be able to use it. to run the JFLOP, you need to have Java installed. I will show you how to download it.
ला रहा नींबू ला रहा
मोरी चला मोरी
बड़ी मोरी कितने ऊपर वो थोड़े को ले इन्नियां मोरियां रखियां ते तू नहीं देंदे इन्नियां बड़ियां किसे भी लेना ये सब नहीं करते चंगी गल है गैरतमंद बंदे दी निशानी है नींबू मिलना वो कितने गरीब तक
Yeah, so to get JFLOP, so you can go to this site. Here there is this one, jflop.org, and then here you can this one, and then, this get JFLOP, and then you can use this link. Here you don't need to fill all this information. You just need to fill the this captcha, right? So if you type this captcha and press submit, then I think it will start automatically. Now you can download this one. So you can try with me to download, and then let's see whether it works, and if not, we can try to install Java. So when you download this,
Finite automation.
So maybe you don't have Java, so it's
Download Java.
So I will show. So if you download this one, and then if you cannot run it, like let's say I have here, for example, this one, and when I double click, it gets open, and this is the main interface. And if it does not work, so you can try to go here and then open it, and here you can see it opens in OpenJDK Java runtime. So if you don't have Java in your computers, then you need to install Java. What about the others?
Yes, I have.
Is it working or?
Yes, working.
Yeah, for you?
I was also joined. I have a laptop, but I don't have a Java in it.
So to install Java, you can go to
laptop like no,
search for Java.
This is a work permit.
3 साल पढ़ के करना
So you need this one, like this JRE because you are not going to develop Java programs, but just to
GRE
run Java programs. So here this is for JRE for consumers. So I think here,
बस हाँ
what,
ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟਸ ਨੇ ਨਾ
so this one, right? Java.com. Yeah.
क्यों
ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਵਾ ਇੰਸਟਾਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ
And then you can, yeah, if you use it's Windows, right?
ਜਵਾਬ ਆਇਆ ਜੀ ਮੇਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਿਖਿਆ
कल हो गया कल कहाँ लाई थी उन्होंने 10 बजे उन्होंने कहा तुम्हारी 10 बजे तैयार हो गई तेल चल रहा है
ਬਾਰਕਲੇ ਦਾ ਉਹ
बाहर के लिए बैंक का कल आई उन्होंने बच्चे से आने दस है इस तरह बैचलर पाकिस्तान जो किया है फिर पहले भी कुछ काम किया है फिर डाटा किया है फिर था प्राग एक साल पढ़े मेरी क्लास है ऑनलाइन है I'm a child student and hoping I will manage 40 hours per week. मैं भी मैनेज कर सकता हूँ मिल जाता है
Yeah, so if it is Windows download, then I think you can just
फिर
download this one. And otherwise, I think
टेक्निकल तो नहीं सीखना क्योंकि दूसरा सीखना रिक्रूटमेंट फिर है कैसे मतलब इस तरह डॉट नेट काम कर मेरा काम सर के रहना हो गया डीपी ने बंदे लाता सी शार्प ने
this is the version for Windows.
कहला तो कि काम करना मैं तो आज क्या आवड़ी तो मैं क्या
Is it working for you? Or is it okay?
ओके
Yeah.
ਨਹੀਂ ਕੰਪਨੀ में चाहिए
So are you downloading it?
करेगा करेगा फ्रंट एंड वगैरह एंड वगैरह डेटाबेस वगैरह मैनेज कर
ये लाना मैं तो शॉर्ट लिस्ट में होता है फिर तो ओपन करना तेरे इंटरव्यू में सीटी है
Okay.
माइक्रोसॉफ्ट टीम मतलब बहुत ऐसा एक्शन टेक्निकल सॉफ्ट स्किल स्ट्रेटजी तो कुछ भी शेयर लेते हैं इट्स नॉट विजिबल टू डिस्कस योर रेट दिस टाइम and it's okay but we need junior level so our budget is not enough मैं junior level डिमांड करने को तो सिर्फ कैसे 3 तक रख लूँगा
इंजीनियर 3 नहीं है 50 का
इतना तो वैसे में कि वो तो उसकी तो मैं दस ही नहीं मैं उसमें खाता 10 नहीं उधर क्या करना है
Okay.
थोड़ी भी
Yeah. So when it is working,
फिर क्या करना है कुछ भी ना करना बस स्टडी कर
if you open this
फिर
one,
कहना कि ज्वाइन करो करना है लगा रहा हूँ क्या कर देता तो मैं तो एक डॉक्टर
yeah. So this is the
हासिल करना
main interface. Like, so you can see here there are different options: finite automation, mealy machine, more machine, push down automation, and then so many
Boring
options,
machine
right?
and
So but in our class, actually we will use this firstly. So we will start with finite automation, but I showed you, and then mealy machine and more machine, right?
इसमें जैसे 5
So
अटेंडेंस होगी
I will open.
बाकी कुर्सियां भी बन गई
Yeah, so this is very abstract finite state machine.
वो जी बनाएगी तो बता बना
Have
देगा
here starting state, and then
Okay,
you
ठीक है।
have some other states. So from the starting state,
उसका भी
you can go to state A with simple A as input, right? And then if you input B, then you will go to this one, and then you can input multiple number of B's repeated, and then if you input C, then you go here, and then yeah, and then you can loop with C, and then you can input D,
Final
and then
state.
it goes to the final
Final.
state. So this is special one called final, because yeah, you have here two lines. So yeah, what can we do with this one? So this is like simple validation, right? So you can insert, for example, A B C D. say whether it is correct sequence or not, right? It's correct, right? So A, B, C, D, like you can go from start to end,
Straight.
right? And this one, is it correct or not? Yeah, this also, or maybe this one, right? That's also correct, right? So what about this one?
No, that's
No,
not
it's not, right?
correct.
So it's not correct.
Yeah.
So this is like the validation that we do for this email, right? So the only thing is like, yeah, you need to decide how to make it. Right? So for an example, for the email address, maybe it's little bit more complicated. So you need to define the input set, output set, but in the validation you don't need to think about the output, but if it completes without errors, then you can say it's valid, right? So let's say if you want to validate something like this, right? So what you can do, like you can take character by character, and then you can create some states, right? So for an example, in the first state, yeah, you don't have anything, but here you can say you can go to first state, but here what can you type, like any, like I will say any character from A to Z, right? So let's think only about simple characters and not to make it complicated, because we can start or think simple as possible and then improve our model, right? And we can take some assumptions because we don't need to solve it in very complicated manner, and then we can here we can input again any number of uh, characters from A to Z, right? And then here we can go to to this state by inputting at the rate, right? And then after that you can again yeah, go to S3. Here you can again input something A to Z, and then here also, yeah, you can, yeah, I don't know whether there is a limit here as well. Maybe there is a limit of characters, but we can, let's say, ignore it for the time being. And then here you input dot, and then go to S4, right? And then S5, again A to Z. But here, like you can say, maybe you can input only 3 times. S6, again A to Z, and this can be final state, because some domains or some suffixes have like CZ or US or something, then only 2 characters. But then you can also have 3 characters. This also possible finish state, right? So you have here 2 finish states. So now this can be a simple validation for uh, email address. But here you know, like we put here not one character, but we define the possible all possible inputs. But in JFLOP, there is a limitation that we can only put here exact character, but not range, right? But in theory, like here, this is possible that you can put here the input set. What should be the set of like possible set to allow inputs to this state, right? Yeah. So I think it's clear, right? So, but this example is very abstract. So it doesn't have any meaning, but you can assume that okay, there can be also some meaningful state machines like this, right? Okay, so now I will show you how to do this, right? And you can do it after I do, right? So I will show you. So here you can go to finite automation. You can click this button, and then you will get this editor, right? And then you can choose this one to create states, right? So this button. So press this button. Once you press it, then you can create as many number of states here. Like when you click on the canvas, you are making states, right? And then when you want to change or do something, then you need to press these buttons, right? Otherwise, you will create many states if you have kept pressing on this one, right? So let's say I want to move one of the states, so I press this pointer, and then you can move it, right? Or if you want to delete one, then you click on this delete icon, and then you will get this cross, and then you can delete it, right? Like this. And now I want to create many new states. And here I go to this pointer, and then I can right click this one, and then I can set the name to, let's say, S0. Okay, and then this one I right click and then set the name to S1, this one S2, and then I want to mark this as the initial one, right? So you can right click and then mark it as initial, right? And then here you can add a transition. So if you click this third button, transition, and then what you need to do is you click here on one state, and then you can drag and drop on another state. Then it will create the line. But here you can input the character, right? So if I want to put A here, then I will type A and then press enter. Then it will create this transition with input A, right? And then I will do the same for this one. So for B, and then enter, and then here C, enter, and then I will create one more step. Click, and then set name to S5. Then I will create another transition with D, and then I want to make loops here and here, right? So here I want to make loop. So what I can do is like I can click and release on the same state, right? Then it will create self like this, and then here also like this. So this is our model, right? So it can validate things like this, and then you can save this. Like you can save it as .jff file, which you can open later in this tool, right? So if you want to keep your partial changes, here it's possible, right? So ABC, I will put like this, and then if you close this one, and then if you go to file, open, and then you can open this, right? So can you try to do it? I will give you some time. then what you can do is like you can uh, test your test your model using this tool, right? So how we can do it is like you can go here to input, and then you can run let's say step with closure, this one, and you can say here I will input ABCD, and then okay. So you can run step by step, right? So here there is this step button, so you can press this, and now you see what happened. Like this A is now grayed out, right? So when I press this button once, then you will see this A is consumed, like it's consumed, and you go to the second step, S1, right? And then if you press again, so this B is also consumed, and you go to the S2 state, right? And then next one S4, and next one S5, and then yeah, it's wrong because yeah, I forgot one thing because I forgot to mark this as the final state, right? So this is final, right? So yeah, when yeah, this is final state. Otherwise, the model does not know that this is complete, right? So now I will try again. Save.
Continuously disturbing
Now you see, now it's green, right? Because yeah, this is valid final state because it's like you are stopping email address validation with something in between, like dot or at the rate or something. But if you do not mention which can be the final states, right? Okay, so this is how you can do the validation, right? So you can, yeah, you can go here, and then you can put step with closure, and here maybe we can do also something like this. This is valid, right? And then, yeah, you can go here, and then step. Yeah, now you will see how it is considered, right? So, yeah, it's correct, right? So, and you can close this, and input this one. Yeah, maybe something incorrect. So here, here, and now
final
it's
state
not
brown
valid because after D,
green
you cannot input D because there is no transition like that. So yeah, so you can valid, yeah, yeah, you can click this one,
It
and
is
then right click, and then make it final.
view input के दिया
Yeah, and you can also run without stepping, right? Yeah.
we can see no
ABC and back to B.
yes
Yeah, it's possible. Yes. So you can put here the transition from like S4 to sorry, so like this. Yeah, so it's possible. So you can go after this to again backwards. It's also possible.
draw the final state
And you can also use this fast run, like here, this one, to run it without stopping, right? So let's say A, B, C, D, and then okay. So you see all steps at once, right? So here, like how it is consumed and progress to the end. Right? So here it
Done.
says accepting configuration found. That means it's correct. Right? So otherwise, I can say maybe I can do here maybe something bad. So
The
you
input
get
was
input
there.
is rejected, right? Yeah, and other thing is the multiple bracket. So here you can give many inputs like ABCD, and then here like we have A B B C D and A B C C D. Very good. And this one, and
ADBC.
then I can run everything at once, right? So here you see that first three are accepted and the last part is rejected. So why this is important? Why it's important to run and keep these multiple runs or something like this? So let's say you are developing or modeling your solution, right? And then so it works for three cases, but it doesn't work for the third case. And then you go here and then fix something or change something, right? So then you want to make sure that it works for the third case. And if you just check the third case only, what could happen? Maybe you are breaking the first three,
First three.
right? When you are fixing the third one, you can be doing something wrong, and then you are breaking something already working, right? So that's why you have these test cases. So let's say you improve your model, so you do some modification, and then you can run all these cases to see, okay, so even after my change, it works correctly for everything, right? So that's normal in software development, right? So when you do some software bug fix, sometimes when you are fixing one bug, you are making some bugs in some other part, right? So if you have such automated test cases, so something you can ensure that when you correct one part, you are not affecting some other part in some bad way, right? So this is quite interesting, or I mean quite useful thing in software development, because then the developers, when they make or when they correct some part of the application, they can ensure that all the other things are intact without side effects, right? So this is same for this model, right? So still it's same. So maybe maybe you have such experiences, right? So you go to repair something to a mechanic, maybe a car or like some device or something. Some people are fixing it, but then they are making some other issue, right? So they don't fix some parts they like remove for the repair, like especially in cars. Sometimes the problematic piece is like in very hard to reach place inside the car, but they have to remove lots of other parts to get into that place. So they fix the original defect, but then when they are fixing the covers and other things, they make a mistake, and then once you go home, then rain, and then you get water inside or something like this, right? So it's same with software, right? You fix some part, and then you are breaking other part. But in physical objects, at least you can see the damage. Maybe then okay. So when you see the water, okay, so you know that okay there is a leak, and then maybe you will fix it later. But in software, if you have, let's say, some calculation error, right? And if it's a banking system or something like that, and then you are making some calculation errors, then you don't even know that you are making mistakes. That's the danger, right? Okay. So here you can have so many inputs, and there this can be called test cases, right? So it's better to have test cases to cover all the scenarios that you can imagine, right? So all the different ways that you can use your application. Then you can make sure that when you do some change or fix something, then everything works as accepted, right? Acceptable way. And yeah, and then you can also load inputs from file, right? So because if you don't want to type it always, you can have these inputs in a text file. Like, okay, here I have my search file. So clear all of this, and here I can have, for example, this file. What I have inside it is like just some inputs, like in a text file, like .txt, and then every line I have some input, right? So what I can do is now I can input, like import this file here. So this one. So I get all these test cases. So I don't need to write it here, but I can just prepare all these inputs in text file and then just load it, right? So that's also handy. So yeah, now you see. And you should not only check for the valid results, and sometimes you also need to make sure that, like, if you do not check this one, what can be the danger or the concern? If you only check, okay, so I have these three cases and this model is working fine, so it validates so everything, but I don't check for this. So maybe your model is validating everything as good, right? So you don't know whether it rejects invalid things. So then your yeah. So therefore, it shouldn't be always this one, but definitely you should also check all the cases, like all the scenarios that you need to make sure it also rejects like this term like false positive, right? So you need to check for false positive, right? So whether it accepts anything false, right? Or it rejects correct ones, right? Okay, so yeah, this is about this example. So now I think you can try it, right? Mm, yeah, I will give you maybe a few minutes to try these inputs.
Good. I don't know. कितना नुकसान करना ये पूछ रहे हैं पहले दो स्टेप ही करना है नेक्स्ट स्टेप की था जिन्ना पता सी उन्होंने कर दिता वही मैनेजर दसिया ना वो सब दूसरा स्टेप दसिया इंसान की और सारी ट्रेनिंग बुलाया इस भाई के तो जाने और जिन्नी सारी ट्रेनिंग मतलब जिन्ना पता था उन्होंने कर रहे दो स्टेप करने हैं एक कर देता जिन्ना पता दूसरा तो पता ही नहीं वही होता अगर आज मैनेजर दसिया हुआ है वो आ रहा है साड़ी तरह ट्रेनिंग ये तो डी है ना 6 महीने बाद हम देखना 6 महीने बाद ट्रेनिंग उस ट्रेनिंग नहीं है अभी ये वाली बात चीज़ एक साढ़ा डेली का काम वो उसी पूछ लेने एक दूसरे को एक जो यार क्वेस्ट होनी है मतलब वो यूज़र के थ्रू पढ़ के देख रहे हो हाँ नॉलेज नहीं है उस चीज़ की ये क्यों हो रही है क्यों सिखा रहे हैं दूसरा स्टेप देखी इधर पीछे जाके फलाने हैं कि चिपका के बोलने थोड़े
Okay, so I think it's quite good. So now I will show you next example. So this time it is mealy machine. And, yeah, this is a special finite state machine, and it is called mealy machine. So what is different here is you will see also some outputs. Right? So when you do the transition, you are also outputting something, right? So here, for an example, like this is maybe if you, I don't know whether you already did this in the class. Professor Marunka, did he explain it or not?
No.
So this is simple coffee machine, and you can input some coins, and then it will produce you coffee, right? So the problem we are solving is, yeah, there can be different combinations of coins, and then the machine should know when it should produce coffee, right? So here. Uh, it's not only validation, but it also should produce some output. So here, uh, so this is the starting point or starting state, and then you have, yeah, like we have simplified the problem, right? So it's not perfect coffee machine or very complicated or sophisticated one, but simple one. So we have we have assumed that we only have these coins, uh, 1 crown or 2 crown, right? And then you can put any combination of such coins, and the machine should produce coffee if you input 3 crowns, right? So price for coffee is 3 crowns, and then you can have many combinations, right? But if you input more than what is needed, then the machine will return all the money without coffee, right? So this is the basic assumption, right? So this is very simple coffee machine. So it will give you coffee when it receives 3 crowns, but if it is more than that, then return, right? Or return money, or maybe let's say coins, right? Yeah. So here, so you are in state zero, cube zero, and then there are two cases, right? So one case is you can get 1 crown, or you can get 2 crowns, right? So you input 1 crown coin, then you go to this one, right? And then you input another 2 crowns coin, 1 coin of 2 crowns, and then it also makes coffee. But here this is epsilon. Epsilon is null, right? So you are not producing anything here, right? So in JFLAP you can actually uh, specify which one to use for the empty character, right? So here we have epsilon, so that's why we see the epsilon. But you, if you choose lambda, then you will also see this one, right? But in my case, it's this one, right? So because yeah, these preferences are saved in this XML file, so it's very simple tool, right? Uh, yeah, so I will open again this one. Yeah, and then I will follow this part. So 1 crown, so no output. Another 1 crown, no output, because now you have 2 crowns output. And then another 1 crown, and it makes coffee because now it's 3 crowns, right? And it goes to this state. And then another flow. This you go to this one, this one. So now you have 2 crowns, and then you input another two. Then you have more than three, right? 4 crowns. So it does not make coffee, but it returns all the money, right? Because or maybe it returns, you can say, the last 2 crowns, or maybe all of it. Like it depends how you want to program, right? And then there is another flow. So here 2 crowns, and then 1 crown, it will make coffee, and 2 crowns, and then another 2 crowns, it will return one, right? So this is a very basic part, right? So you can think of it as like, so once you model this, and then you can convert it into program, then like you program the coffee machine to, yeah, behave like that, right? So the real implementation is somewhat difficult. I mean, not difficult, but sophisticated than this, because what you need to do is like, yeah, the coffee machine should have some sensor to decide or to sense which the value of the coin, right? And then also it should trigger a button to make coffee, or it should trigger a mechanism to return the money, right? So this is the physical part, right? So maybe it needs to be done through some electronics or mechanics, and everything. So it's out of our scope, right? So our scope is to just to think about the logic, so the software part, right? So do you understand? So like it's same in robotics or anywhere, like you have the software part, the logic part, and then the mechanical or electronic part. So we don't care about that, right? So because it can be just calling another function or outputting some signal to do this operation, right? But what is important for us is to have your logic, right? So so you can do this model using this mealy machine, and then you can also run it. Like you can input
Yeah.
some, or you can do some, uh, uh, let's say like this,
Okay.
run input, make copy, right? So if you put one, one,
Segment date में
two,
इसका आ गया है
it
प्रोजेक्टिंग
returns one, right? Because it's more than one. So, or you can also do fast run, or multiple run, or step, like let's say one, one, one. Now it's here,
जमा कराई नहीं उसने
here, right? So you will see it here also some output, right? So this is also the translation, right? So you can also do this to translate something, right? Yeah. So this for this you can use the mealy machine, and yeah, I will show you how to create this one. Mm, yeah, you can So this time you need to choose the second option, mealy machine, and now it's a little bit different. So here you can create some states, and then here you can mark this as the initial, but here you don't need to specify the final state because it's already outputting something, right? So even if it's not finishing, yeah. So here you can make some transition, and here you will see that now you have the possibility to input and the output, right? So if you put here one, yeah, so if you don't input anything into the second box or the right side, then it will be absolute, right? And here maybe the second case, so that means one, and then maybe another one like this, and then here one, and then here I will choose this part, and then I will say make
कॉफी
coffee, right? So now one flow is complete, right? Is it clear? And now I'm thinking about another scenario. So you have one, one, one. So three, right? And one, one, and then two. So now it's more than required. So I will enter one, right? Okay. One, one, two. And then here I can put maybe another state. Here two, and then nothing. And then here I can say maybe one, and now which one, right? So is it clear? And then maybe another part to this one. To that, and then this state. So here, this one, I can say yeah, like this, right? So it's same, but yeah, a little bit different, but you can say like you can load the same inputs and test whether this is okay, right? So if it is okay, then it's fine. So I can test input multiple drive. It's correct, right? So and I can also put here all the cases, right? So 1 1 1 1. Yeah, I think I don't have one case. One, one. So this one, 1 2 1.
1 to 1.
You see, now here nothing happens. So my model is wrong, right? So I go back and then I do one, this one, two, okay. Now it works, right? So like this, we can improve the model and check whether it works fine. And here I can say 2 1 1. So this is wrong, right? So 2 1 1 it should make coffee, right? 2 1 and 1. So here I don't have this. So now I should go back. 1 1 and say 1 1.
Another extension लेनी नहीं extension लेनी है मतलब जब extension नहीं होगा
Okay, so I have mistake here.
मेल कर
Okay. 0.34.
गूगल ले लिया
2 1. Two cases. Yeah, so is it I have two cases here? 0 1 3 4. But this is for the other side. Yeah, I don't know why why it works like that, but I think you get the idea, right? So I don't need to spend more time, but the idea is like here maybe I can open this again and see difference, but the idea is like you can do something like this. Yeah, now you can maybe check the difference.
सिमको वाली सी
My mind is more
सिमको वाली
complicated,
सी
right? You know, it seems maybe there is something wrong what I'm doing.
ये मेरे को कैमरा
Yeah, this is yeah, this one is wrong. This one should already written make copy, right? So yeah, but yeah, but you get the idea, right? So there is no correct. I mean, you can't say maybe the same thing. You can do it also in different ways, right? But maybe my one is wrong. Maybe this one is wrong. But it is the exercise, right? So what matters. So in your case, also you can try to do something like this, even for your project, right? But there are some requirements, that how many states that you have, and so on. But I think next class maybe I will explain in detail, because now it's too early to decide what you should do. But next class I will also show you the same example in newer machine, and then we can maybe also start some concepts or some things about the prologue part. Like you need to install this free prologue tool, and I will try to send you these links before the class so you can get ready. And yeah, and next week you have the study block, right?
Yes.
The whole week. And on Friday you have the some test or some project work, right? So I think we will not have the classes, but for you, next week after next week you will have the classes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's all for today. So if you have any questions, you can ask, or otherwise we can finish. So that's
Attendance ਪੁੱਛੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਅਟੈਂਡੈਂਸ ਹੀ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ ਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਵੇਖਿਆ ਪੜਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਬੱਚੇ
yeah. So it's
ਮਾਰੇ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਛੋਟੇ ਨੇ ਯਾਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਲੈਣਾ ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੰਦਾ